Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the greatest wrestling podcast ever. I am your host, Adani, and with me today we have the greatest co-host ever, Bodacious. Welcome to the video, Bodacious. All right, so this is
dog for the time being.
Yeah. So as you can see, we're just running it with two tonight. We might have Manosk join us in the middle of the video, but we will see. This is the WWE edition of the greatest wrestling podcast ever. So we are going to be talking all about WWE. Now, last week, unfortunately, we had to bypass last week's episode of this edition. We did have an AEW edition, so go ahead and check that out. We'll also have an AEW edition hopefully this week for you as well. But that means we have 5 shows to talk about. So we're just going to get right in. So we'll start with SmackDown. This was the 9/4 edition of SmackDown. And this was the SmackDown where the last time we had talked about it, it was going to be a triple threat match for the number one contendership. So originally it was going to be Matt Riddle, Big E, and Baron Corbin. So what do you remember? Just curious. Do you remember what we picked? Like who were we thinking was actually going to win that, if that was the case? Because
I was picking Matt Riddle.
Okay, yeah, I thought it was me. I knew it couldn't be Baron Corbin, so I think maybe I was picking either Matt Riddle or Big E. So I was hoping.
My heart was going with Big E, but Matt Riddle's on fire right now, and I mean Big E is too, but I don't know. There's something about Matt Riddle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So so when the SmackDown actually started, they actually announced it to be a 4-way match, a fatal 4-way, and it was those 3 plus Sheamus. Throughout during the night, Big E was attacked by Sheamus and taken out, and he is still currently out, he was replaced by Jey Uso. What's your opinion on the possibility of Jey, in this instance, Jey Uso becoming the number one contender?
I would be totally happy with that, and I've been saying for a long time that both of them would be incredible superstars on their own.
Mm-hmm.
But if you put them both on opposite shows, their movesets that I've seen so far are the same. Mm-hmm. So it's like you have the same guy in both shows.
That's true.
So they'd have to differentiate themselves somehow.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there was a point in my life where I thought the same thing about the Hardys, and now Matt and Jeff are totally different beings as far as characters and stuff. So there is something there that I think that they could be single stars. I always thought, what's their Jay and Jimmy? Yeah, Jay is really John in real life, I think.
That sounds right.
So yeah, he's the one, and I think he's the one that's got a little bit more charisma on the mic.
Mm-hmm.
But the other one seems like he's got more of an aggressive side in the ring, and that usually wins me over more than the mic. But with that said, I'm a fan of The Miz, and he's totally not aggressive in the ring at all. So.
That's true. Yeah, I think it's interesting. I'm not really sure. I don't know the backstory. Is Jimmy hurt right now, or is this just?
I thought neither one of them were hurt.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I was just curious because for Jay to go on their own, and that will bring me to another point later on the to see where this turns out. But so this leads us to that fatal 4-way match, and I want to talk about it first, and then there's really only 2 things I want to talk. Really, only the 2 things I want to talk about for that SmackDown. So we'll go ahead and talk about that one first. And Jay does end up winning that match and becoming the number one contender to face his cousin at Clash of Champions for the Universal Championship. Do you think this is a smart move? Like, what do you think with a heel Roman? Do you think him facing his cousin is the right feud here?
Not really, because I feel like Roman's gonna destroy him at this point in his push, and the way that they're going with it, I feel like they could actually do something with Jimmy and Jay individually, but he's probably going to get destroyed. But with that in mind, I watched a guy on the other program get destroyed a couple months ago on pay-per-view, and now he's the #1 contender. So, I guess you can get destroyed in today's world on pay-per-view and still be a credible contender.
You know what I find this to have eerily similarities to is The Force Awakens with Kylo Ren and Han Solo. Like, I feel like this is like Reigns' last move to remove the good out of him. Like, for him to destroy his good side. I don't think that's what's going to happen, but I think that's kind of the thinking behind this. And but that's I don't think this was the smartest move unless they go a completely different route with it. I think what's going to happen, and I actually have this notated down here, is I actually think this is going to lead to a situation like the Cedric Alexander turn. And I think that he's going to beat Jay so bad that Jay's going to join him. And they're going to develop this this heel stable.
I mean, it's interesting. I mean, Paul Heyman used to manage, I believe his father or his uncle, with the Samoan, what were they called when they were in WCW? Because they were the Head Shrinkers in WWE, and then they moved to WCW, and they were called the Samoan something squad or something like that. The name escapes me, but they were the Head Shrinkers in WWE, same team. But Paul Heyman, they were in his Deadly Alliance or something like that with Steve Austin, and a whole bunch of people actually were in that stable back in the freaking like 80s, 90s WCW.
All right. Yeah, so that's going to be a really interesting. Go ahead.
I do believe that you're onto something with that though, and that would be really cool for them to do.
Yeah, I think I think that'd be really neat, and but we'll see. It's real interesting to see how we move forward with this, because you put Jay and Jimmy with Reigns, and you have Shield 2.0. So, like, it's and with him being the enforcer type character, and and him doing the least amount of work, but always, even in the Shield, he did the least amount of work, but was always the one that was always raised to the higher the higher platform. So it could easily be the same thing with him being the enforcer, and Jay and Jimmy doing all the heavy lifting, so to speak, and then him come in and just be the imposing presence, as it were. So it's definitely going to be an interesting dynamic moving forward if they go that route. We'll see. All right, so that brings me.
You can also use Tamina.
That's right.
Because Nia Jax has already got her thing going, so she doesn't need to be a part of it. But Tamina's always second fiddle. Like, she could be the predominant woman within that faction.
That's true. Like a China to the DX, so to speak. So
I also like that Paul Heyman is with somebody else besides Brock Lesnar, and he's not talking about Brock Lesnar all the time. Like, the whole time he was with CM Punk, it was always about Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, I like the way they're using Paul Heyman here. I like that that's, especially in this particular SmackDown promo that they did. Paul Heyman came out and said, "Don't look at me. I didn't do this. He came and got me." So, like, on this particular episode of SmackDown, Paul Heyman said, "I was out. I was doing my creative thing, and Roman Reigns came to me and said, we want to do this." And I was like, I like that dynamic that gives Reigns more clout when it comes to really the character development of this heel Roman Reigns, and as opposed to just Paul Heyman making this guy. This guy is he is actively pursuing Paul Heyman. Yeah, exactly.
That he's already made. Like when you put Curtis Axel with him, and then you put Cesaro with him. Like, Cesaro, yeah, he was on the cusp of something right around that time, but Reigns has already main evented WrestleMania. He's won main events all the time, won championships. Mm-hmm. This is not putting him over. This is putting his character over in a new perspective.
Absolutely.
I feel like that's the difference.
I
completely very on top of the heel turn.
Absolutely. And it definitely emphasizes everything everybody's already wanted out of Reigns for the longest time. So, but anyway, we got a lot to get to. I want to go ahead and touch on this next thing from that show. And if you have anything else, just pipe up and we'll talk about it. But the last thing about this particular episode of SmackDown was we had Bayley and Sasha with their rematch for the tag team championships. And while the match itself was mostly forgettable, what happened after was a pretty significant thing. We knew it was coming. We just didn't know how it was going to come. But we had Bayley turn on Sasha Banks. And what's really significant about this is that I've been saying it on this show ad nauseum for ever since we started doing this show, that Sasha and Bayley were carrying WWE during the pandemic. Like, during this time, Sasha and Bayley have been carrying this brand. Now, obviously, it's a little bit different now that Roman Reigns is back and some people are coming back into their own. But what's significant about this is it just reaffirms what I've been saying this whole time. This segment had more viewership than WWE has had in the last 4 months. This one segment had more viewership than any other wrestling program has had in the last 4 months. So this was huge for everyone involved. What was your take on that?
I mean, I've bought into them for a long time. I don't understand why WWE won't let Sasha Banks retain her championship in a match, like, ever. I don't think she's ever retained her championship in a match on the main roster, other than the tag championships, obviously. I completely agree with you that they've carried the show. They've been, they've Chris Jericho themselves into new characters. I'm sorry. It kind of pisses me off that they don't do Sasha Banks right.
That's true. I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure what's the reflection. I don't know if that's something that they're gonna pursue. I mean, obviously, Bailey has touched on it, so I'm not sure if that's something they've done on purpose for a reason. I don't know. Maybe this is a 7-year in the making feud. Like maybe we're dogging WWE creative, and they've been planning this for 7 years. I don't know. I don't know about that, but
like 15 writers ago, probably more.
Yep. But I just thought that was extremely awesome that that of all of this, throughout this time, and how much I've talked about Bailey and Sasha, just for them to have the most viewed segment in as long as in this time, was really reaffirming for just how awesome entertainers they are. Even though Bailey is like the most annoying as like heel right now, but like that's what makes it great. So
in a bizarro world, Bailey never turned heel, and she's joining Firefly Funhouse.
All right. That's all I have for SmackDown for 9/4. You got anything that you want to add?
Not really, because we'll touch on it on the next week's.
Okay. All right. So that brings us to Raw on 9/7, and I have very little here, but there was a couple of things that were significant, and I could be wrong, but I believe this was where Dominic got his first solo win, right? Yeah. So this was our on Raw. Dominic faced Murphy in a street fight, and this is where Dominic, who debuted back in SummerSlam, he did get a win in a tag match, but this is his first, since his debut, this is his first solo win. And, I mean...
With help.
Yeah, I mean, it's his solo match.
The Mysterio family.
Yeah, the Mysterio family. But I can't deny I'm for someone who's only been, I mean, obviously he hasn't only been wrestling, but for someone who's only been wrestling on TV for essentially 4 weeks, I think he's doing pretty damn good. What you think of Dominic?
Yeah, he's pretty good. But I also feel like they've probably put a large investment in him, and it seems like it. And so he's going to get that... I'm not going to say he's got a rocket ship strapped to him, but he's going to get that... do you remember when Cody Rhodes first signed to the main roster, and he was tagged with Bob Holly? And then right after that, they did the whole legacy thing.
Nope.
I feel like he's getting that kind of a push.
Yeah.
You don't remember that time period?
I was definitely not watching wrestling during that time period. But
okay, well, he's probably going to get some wins over some people, but it seems like the people that he's going to be working with are good workers, and that's there's probably a reason for that.
Yeah.
I don't know that he's carrying any of these matches, but he's definitely being made to look good.
Right, definitely. All right. Other than that, my only note for this Raw was we had Cedric Alexander join the Hurt Business. He got beat up week after week after week, and finally had enough. And what is that? Where you fall in love with your abusers?
You can't beat them.
Yeah, like.
If you can't beat them, join them.
Yeah. So he decided to join the Hurt Business in Stockholm Syndrome. Yeah, that's it.
Stockholm?
I think that's it. Yeah, yeah. So like, so yep. So Cedric Alexander joined the Hurt Business, and I have to say that, you know, since then I think the Hurt Business is on the up and up. Like they're doing nothing but good things right now. What you think?
Yeah, I completely agree. I have only one small little knock on the progress they've made, but I have to wait until we talk about this week's episode of Raw to talk about that.
Yep.
But as of at that point, yeah, and even right now, I'm still like the Hurt Business. I've been talking about the Hurt Business for weeks. I like the Hurt Business. I think it's a great idea. I'm really happy for all the guys involved. I've literally seen Bobby Lashley beat the crap out of a guy in real life. When he was doing the MMA thing, he beat up Bob Sapp in Biloxi.
Nice.
It was amazing. And Bob Sapp's a big old dude, so like Bobby Lashley is legit.
He's
I like everything about it. Yeah, he's the CEO.
Yeah, the CEO of the Hurt Business. That's right. Yep. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that the Hurt Business is currently definitely a star in the in WWE's calendar, so to speak. So but that's all I got for that Raw.
Isn't it amazing that they were going to let MVP go?
I didn't know that, but
before coronavirus, he was literally being let go. They had him around for one more match, and he was supposed to be being let go. And then coronavirus hit, and he lived in the area, so he stuck around, and now I'm Hurt Business.
Well, that was definitely luck. They lucked out there, if you could say anything about that being lucky. But yeah, it's they definitely got a winner there for sure.
Just the right place at the right time.
Yep. All right.
The definition of the right place at the right time.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't have anything else for that Raw. I don't know if there were any championship matches, but I don't think there were. Do you have anything else of note? Okay.
No.
All right. Well, we'll move on to the NXT for that week, and that was the 9/9 NXT, and we had a couple of really awesome. The whole episode was great, but we had a couple of extra great moments, and obviously it started with Finn Balor versus Adam Cole for the NXT Championship. Great match. The person who I thought was going to win won. Finn Balor came out on top. I already gave my reasons why on the last video. So, if you want to check those out, go ahead. Bodacious, you got anything to say on that?
I need you people to rewind it 3 episodes on the WWE side and just kick back to when I said Finn Balor was going to win the match and forget everything I said the week before, or the week after that, when I said that it was going to be somebody else.
Yeah.
Fix my record. Stand corrected.
Oh, man. All right.
Yeah, Finn Balor is awesome in the ring. I mean, he can do everything. I don't really know that they found anything he can't do yet. If it wasn't for a fluky win, he'd probably be like the all-time main eventer, probably longest reigning Universal Champion and all that good stuff. But it is what it is. Back up. We'll see.
Yep. So other than that, the other extremely noteworthy thing that happened is we had a cage match with Rhea Ripley and Mercedes Martinez, and that match was awesome.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm so happy that they put Rhea Ripley in. They took her out of that title picture. They put her in this this other feud, and they really show, she got into that cage and just she put on a great match. Same with Mercedes Martinez, but Rhea Ripley was the star of that match for sure. So what would you think about that?
I've seen a lot of people that were really upset that she didn't get called up around WrestleMania, right after WrestleMania. But the main roster is pretty crowded right now in the female division, and she doesn't need the championship right now in NXT, and she's an attraction by herself, and she fills out the show pretty well. And plus, NXT needs her at this point. Like, if she was gone, there'd be a huge hole.
Yeah.
Huge hole. But she's putting different people over, but, I'm fairly certain that some of the people she's putting over are actually already on their way to the main roster, so interesting.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. All right. That's all I have for NXT.
Yeah, that was a brutal match, sorry.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, it was.
I'm sitting there talking about the characters, but that was a brutal match. Everybody needs to go.
Yeah, that match was great. Definitely go check it out if you haven't.
I mean, is it bad that even though that match was amazing, we had a ladder cage match this week, and I was like,
yeah, it seemed
put a new guy in a cage match, but I guess we're not on Raw yet.
It does seem like. So I will say, touching on that, is that I do believe that WWE is obviously course correcting a lot of stuff right now, in that they are seeing what AEW is doing and saying, while it's not really competition, we still need to be, we might need to put a little bit more edge on our stuff, because obviously this isn't the AEW program, but if you watch tonight was Dynamite. They had an awesome like parking lot fight, and it was just incredible. And that type of stuff, obviously with Drew McIntyre facing Randy Orton or Keith Lee in an ambulance match, I think they're bringing in more gimmicks that in the past, like just since WrestleMania, you haven't seen as many of those lately in this time frame since WrestleMania. A lot of you've had cinematic matches, but they're not realistic. They don't feel realistic. Where this street fight, even though it was cinematic-esque, it wasn't. It was entirely realistic. It all felt real. So even if it was pre-taped, the whole thing was real. Like it wasn't some supernatural cinematic. And I think that WWE is realizing that they're going to need to be a little bit more gritty moving forward, or the people that are watching WWE, that are the people who that watch shows like this, so to speak, are going to realize that the product is just not as good as AEW's. And why bother to spend 7 hours, 3, 2, and 2, 7 hours watching wrestling when you can watch 2 and get a better product? So I think that just in general, just like this, a cage match on NXT and then another cage match on Raw, I think that's where they're really trying to fill out that that grittiness that they're not otherwise getting, because there's no blood. There's very very minimal blood in WWE. Like you're not looking at any blood, where AEW you're getting blood almost every week. I mean, so sometimes intentional, sometimes not, but
yeah. Matt Hardy.
Yeah. But
speaking of Matt Hardy, I think he had something to do with that street fight, like being an agent for it or something. Like his style was all over that.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, we're talking WWE right now.
Yeah. Which technically this isn't really a WWE podcast. It's a wrestling podcast. It's just we're trying to keep them separate because of time constraints. But if we get on a tangent, I say by all means let it roll. So that's what I had for NXT. We can move on to the 9/11 version of SmackDown. So in this episode of SmackDown, we had.
Hold on.
What? Okay.
You gotta give yourself a moment of silence. We're on September 11th.
Yeah. All right. Definitely moment of silence for 9/11. All right. That's right. All right. So on this episode of SmackDown, we had Jimmy and Jay, Jay and Roman, a little bit more going on with that. Obviously, that's not that feud isn't really building per se. That so far, it's just it's kind of looking at moving forward as cousins, and we'll see as it develops. We're only 3 weeks away. 2 weeks away. 2 weeks away from
2 weeks, yep.
Yep, 2 weeks away from Clash of Champions. So I don't know what their plan is, but I think they need to do something drastic fast, or otherwise I expect it to be more like what we were talking about in the previous SmackDown. Maybe some type of heel bloodline faction where, if you're not our bloodline, then you're terrible. Basic kind of something like that. But, we'll see what that is moving forward as we talked about. But we did have a title match. I feel
like it's going to be more along the lines of the Hart Foundation, but it would be like the Samoan Foundation or something.
Yeah, that makes sense. For sure. Yeah, that's probably right in line. But obviously right now it's all speculation and rumors. So I hope that we get something out of this, that it's just not just something to fill the void, so to speak. I just
thought of something.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about AEW a minute ago.
Mm-hmm.
You know who was not signed but showed up on AEW? Who's Samoan? Mulatto? Isn't that his name?
Who?
He used to be in WWE for like a hot second. Mulatto. Wasn't that his last name?
I don't remember.
He was in a quick losing thing, but he could just be like a body within the Samoan group.
Maybe. I don't think that, obviously we've touched on this before. WWE does not like to expand groups more than 3, so it's real rare that we'll see something. That's why the Hurt Business being 4 is so exciting for a lot of people, because this is kind of people hoping that they're bucking the no more than 3 trend. But we'll see.
Retribution's got 5.
Yeah. Well,
3 of them male.
Yeah.
2 female.
Yeah, we'll see how that actually pans out when it's all said and done. I mean, I know who I would like to see, and that's the question of the week that we're going to answer. Who are the top 5 superstars we would like to see in Retribution, and why? But it's we'll see. We'll see how that trend. I know obviously everybody knows at least one of the members of Retribution, but there have been a lot of wrestlers that are not part of Retribution that are just wearing the Retribution outfit to fill the quantity of numbers. So, there could be a lot of red herrings. So, obviously, Retribution is Raw only. So, now, and we touched on that last week. We thought that was dumb, but
it caused way more damage on SmackDown.
Yeah, it did.
They literally destroyed the ropes with chainsaws and stuff on SmackDown. And like now they're just Raw only. Boy, they're gonna piss people off when they go to the Survivor Series, Raw versus SmackDown.
So
They take this shit real seriously.
So
they got some Raw contract, and they're like, "Boy, we hate SmackDown. We'll destroy your ring."
So for a group that doesn't abide by the rules, the fact that they can't go to SmackDown just blows my freaking mind. No, y'all can't come in here if you're going to SmackDown, but if it's Raw, come on in. Please destroy everything. Anyway.
We signed the guys that we don't know who they are. They're Raw exclusive now. How do you know that they're not showing up on SmackDown?
We're just hoping for the best. All right. So that's so funny. All right. We had an Intercontinental title match. Jeff Hardy versus AJ Styles. It was an okay match until it got ruined. And that was Sami Zayn, right? He ruined the match. So obviously we're going to be looking at a triple threat match. Obviously nothing's confirmed, but that's just the expectation at this point. We're going to have AJ Styles, Jeff Hardy, and Sami Zayn. I really hope if they do this, they make it like a ladder match, because it just seems like I just would like a gimmick out of it.
I feel you on that, but if at least I wish that they would build up to gimmicks instead of just throwing gimmicks out there. Like, so Sammy interfered in this one, right? Back in the day, that looked like I think I saw a match the other day where it was Undertaker and Shawn Michaels. Bret Hart accidentally hits Undertaker, so it leads to Bret Hart versus Undertaker, and then eventually it was a triple threat match.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that should be kind of a thing where it would be where, well, Sammy interfered this week. Okay, well then so and so is going to fight Sammy, and then the other one gets involved, and then so and so gets involved here, and then
we have
that classic Hardy's Edge and Christian and Bubba Ray and Devon, where they all had the matches with the table match this week, and then so and so interferes, and then ladder match next week, so and so interferes, chairs match, so and so interferes, and then you know what? Let's have a tables, ladders, and chairs match.
Yeah, it's a realistic possibility that we have, Jeff Hardy versus Sami Zayn next week, in 2 days at SmackDown, and then next week they they have a match or something to determine the beat the clock challenge. Maybe they have a beat the clock challenge next Friday to somebody who picks the stipulation. And Jeff Hardy says, "Well, if I got to pick a if Jeff Hardy wins, the match that made him famous was ladders matches." So, that maybe something like that. But I think that obviously triple threat matches are already no disqualification. I just like the idea of when you have a triple threat match for it to have an additional gimmick, because it's already removing the champion advantage. So if the champion would then say, okay, well, I'm the master of the ladder match because I'm Jeff Hardy, then it would give him a little bit more of the advantage back, kind of thing. It's kind of what I'm where I'm sitting. So
yeah. Because all these gimmick matches are just, if they're just thrown out there, you might as well just do the, and as a matter of fact, I would be okay with this thing, actually. I know WWE does it every time they go to Vegas, and WCW used to do it every year for Halloween Havoc, but the wheel with the matches, the gimmick matches. Like,
that's right.
You know what? If you're just gonna have gimmick matches, just tell us it's a gimmick match, and you spin the wheel as you go out there, and that's what gimmick match you have.
Yeah, I did like those. Yeah, the Raw Roulette, as it were.
Yeah, that.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So that was we had that, and then other than that, we had the number one contenders match for the SmackDown Women Championship. That was Nikki Cross, Tamina, Alexa Bliss, and Lacey Evans. And the main things about that, obviously the winner matters. The winner was Nikki Cross, but that seemed less important than the other thing that happened in the match. And so what is your take on Alexa Bliss Sister Abigailing Nikki Cross? And then like the catatonic stare, like she couldn't control it. What's your take on that?
I liked it. She's needed something for a while. She's needed an adjustment to her character because she's been the same for a long time. I think the only person that at this point that's getting away with being the same for a long time is John Cena and Charlotte. Everybody else has made changes to their characters. Yeah, I'm excited for it.
Well, the only hold on. The only reason Charlotte hasn't changed her character is because everyone continues to hate her, even though she changed her character. like she was a face. She was a face at one point, but because everyone still hated her, she had to go back to being a heel.
But her face character was just the same as her.
Well, you could say the same thing about AJ Styles then.
I guess AJ's always been AJ. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
But I just like AJ.
Yeah.
AJ is like if I like made it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got you. It's like, tell us how you really feel about Charlotte.
I actually like Charlotte. I mean, not as much as like Becky, but
I don't like Charlotte, but that's okay. Thankfully we had Roman Reigns change his character, because that's what otherwise he would have fell into that category too. Oh man.
Yeah. Before that, the last two things he's changed about his character is when he left the Shield, he started talking, and then when he came back from injury, he started being more of a smartass, and then now he's a heel.
Suffering.
That's been his character progression.
Suffering succotash.
That was a horrible promo.
Oh man.
Remember that promo that he tried to cut against John Cena a couple years ago? Where they're going back and forth, and then he was supposed to come back with a retort, and he just stood there and didn't say anything because Cena tongue-tied him?
I don't remember that, but that sounds like...
I don't know what to say. Yeah, and she was like, alright, Junior.
Alright, so I agree. I think Alexa Bliss, I think this is good for Alexa Bliss. I always liked Alexa Bliss, but she's been out of the title picture for so long now that it seems like she's just middling the pack and just kind of tagging on to other people's feuds, and I think that absolutely she needs something different, and I think this will go. This, as long as WWE does it right, I think this will go well.
I'm a little scared just on the fact that this gimmick goes toward more of Zoom, but a history of concussions and injuries, so that's something to look out for.
Mm-hmm. Okay. A little funny thing. I was curious. What's your opinion of the wobbly walrus?
Obviously, it's Paul Heyman that he's making fun of there. Boy. Really, when I heard that there was going to be a new character, I was like, all right, Alexa Bliss is officially official.
Yeah, that's what I was expecting too. Wobble.
Well, good old Vince pulled a Swerverino, as it were.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So I only have one other note from SmackDown, and this is kind of an interesting subject. And they kind of hinted on this last SmackDown. But they are continuing to play it up. So on the 9-4 SmackDown, you had John Morrison steal the Money in the Bank contract, which turned out to not be the contract. And that's okay. That's just that's an expectation when you're feuding with the person that is the Money in the Bank contract holder. But then the following week, which is 9/11, they did it again. And they talked about finding loopholes in the contract. What is your take on, do you think that Otis is going to lose the contract before being able to cash in? And do you think that that is a good move or a bad move?
I think it's a terrible move because I feel like it cheapens the gimmick, for lack of a better word.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like it at all. Heck, I'm okay with you losing it, putting it up and losing it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Well, Dolph put it up. Dolph put it up against John Cena, but he didn't lose it to John Cena. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think Edge won it the second time off of a match off of Mr. Kennedy.
Yeah, I wasn't watching wrestling at that time, but that sounds right.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a history of that, and I would be okay with that. But to just find a loophole and you just get to use it because you have the contract, no, that's really stupid.
Well, the thing is that if it's non-transferable, it's non-transferable. So that should be where it ends. You shouldn't be able to put it up on a match if it's non-transferable, so to speak. So if it's in a position where you look at something and say, okay, this could be put up in a match, this could be put up in a wager, but it's still non-transferable, then whoever wins that match is irrelevant because the person who won the Money in the Bank contract is the Money in the Bank contract winner. So in the same turn, it's not out of the realm of theoretical WWE science here. That's still a possibility because it's the only instances that I've seen of somebody stealing the Money in the Bank contract was when John Moxley or Dean Ambrose stole Seth Rollins' Money in the Bank contract and filled it with pudding or something. It was something like that. So I don't know. I don't think they should do this. But I was also not a fan of Otis becoming the Money in the Bank winner anyway. So if I had to choose, say, Miz or Otis, I would much rather have the Miz hold the Money in the Bank contract over Otis. And not because Otis individually couldn't become champion. It's not that I don't see him becoming champion. It's a situation that it's if he's dedicated to tag team wrestling, then it feels like the Money in the Bank contract is never going to get cashed in. Like, he doesn't tease it. He doesn't it's almost it's almost an accessory. It's not. It's where, you know, everyone else who's had it, Brock Lesnar or Braun Strowman or Seth Rollins, it was always, you know, you always felt like this could be the time. This could be the time. But with Otis, it doesn't ever feel that way. You don't ever feel like, okay, well, here comes Otis. No, you don't feel that. Like, and that's the.
I think it is.
Go ahead.
I think he got the win because I don't think he misses days.
Mm-hmm.
And at that particular time, they needed a guy like that. And now the other guys are starting to come back. You go, this guy doesn't really belong in the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
He's entertaining, and he probably has a good future. But right now, it's too early.
Right.
And I the only way I foresee him cashing it in and winning is if a whole bunch of guys get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Because he shows up to work, he'd be a good guy to have probably for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just the thing that makes the Money in the Bank contract awesome is always always that chance that it could be cashed in. That was always my issue with Brock Lesnar. Yeah. Good.
Well, the more I think about this, you know, they could be onto something just in the fact that why do they have to have the briefcase and bring it out to the ring to give it to the ref?
Mm-hmm.
If it's not transferable, if it's not, you know what I mean? You have to apparently show them the briefcase to cash it in. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, it's like the 24/7 championship where you just run out with the referee.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
You know what I mean? Even Seth Rollins had the beat up, destroyed briefcase WrestleMania night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He was running his ass out there.
Yeah. And that's it. I mean, I think that, you know, while I don't agree with the way they're doing it, I absolutely agree with them if they decide to take it off of Otis and give it to someone like The Miz. Because obviously The Miz has you don't feel bad if it's The Miz if The Miz has it. Because he's a former WWE champion. He's got all the accolades, and you know he's got great charisma. He's great on the mic. Like, he has obviously all the workings of somebody who, and he's a heel right now. He's a heel, so the Money in the Bank contract works best on heels, or to make a heel. Like, that's the way the Money in the Bank contract works. It works best. Because it's always that you never know when it's going to happen. And they tease the people. They say, "Oh, I'm going to cash in." Like, but when Roman Reigns beat, won the championship, no one said that. No one thought that Otis was going to cash in. Nobody. Like. And that's granted, again, obviously circumstances are different, but it's just those instances where you want to know that it's on the table. And that's what I was talking about with Brock Lesnar, is when Brock Lesnar wasn't coming to Raw every night, then or there were pay-per-views where Brock Lesnar wasn't even defending the championship. It always felt like, well, the Money in the Bank contract felt like nothing, because we knew that for the next 3 months we couldn't get a cash in. But it's that suspense. It's always that that overhanging. Oh, this could be the night where he cashes in. This could be the night where he cashes in. That's what makes that special. And right now on Otis, I'm not getting that, and it feels like it's just, like it is, like it's a lunchbox or a toolbox, like, for what it is to Otis. So while I agree with the decision if they take it off of him, I don't necessarily agree with a loophole type direction to do it. I mean, I can see it in the realm of possibility. I don't necessarily agree with it.
And I'm with you on that.
Yeah. All right. That's actually all I got for SmackDown. Obviously, we had Jay and Reigns beat Sheamus and Corbin in a tag team match, but other than that it happened, it wasn't noteworthy. So we're just, we're going to work our way over to Raw. And Raw had quite a bit of interesting stuff that I have notated here. So it's going to, that's going to be probably the best. That was probably the one of the more noteworthy nights. So we'll just get right into it. First thing, this was actually from a SmackDown to Raw type thing. What do you think about Mandy Rose being traded to Raw? Like, what's your, what kind of input do you have on that? What do you think there's a reason, since we're gonna have the draft soon anyway? Like, what do you think reason wise they could have for trading Mandy to Raw?
I think it's probably like some maybe personal or something. Okay. I'm flabbergasted. I don't understand it. I mean, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Okay.
So there's got to be more to it than what meets the eye. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. We'll just have to wait.
If it doesn't make sense, then what's that red light?
What? What red light?
That red light. Every now and again, it's on your glasses when you look that way.
It's my microphone. Remember I showed it to you earlier? It's got the... Yeah. Alright, so we'll go ahead and get started. We had...
We've literally broken the fourth wall, ladies and gentlemen. Staring right at you.
Alright, so we had a women's championship match. We had Mickie James versus Asuka. It was a good match until the end. I thought Mickie James, for being a veteran, meshed well with Asuka. But at the end, we had a little bit of a confusion. I don't know if nothing's been confirmed, but there's the ref made the mark of injury. He did the mark of injury real fast and called the match end. Nothing's been confirmed, but all WWE has announced is that the ref determined that Mickie James could not continue and that Asuka won the match. What's your take?
I've heard some things, but nothing's been confirmed.
Yeah.
But what I've heard is that Mickie was supposed to tap, and she reversed the move, and the referee freaked out and threw up an X. That's what I've heard.
Oh, jeez. Oh, man.
Yeah, Mickie was supposed to tap the Asuka lock, and she reversed it, and the referee freaked out.
Gotcha. All right. Well, good. I know Mick Foley was toting the injury line, so I'm not sure what happened there, but definitely need to, when you're talking about championship match, you definitely gotta reel that back in there, WWE. All right. So after the match, Selena Vega came out and challenged Asuka. Now, since Selena Vega's Raw debut, since her revealing of her coming from NXT up to the main roster, and with Andrade, I have not seen her wrestle but once. Is that is that where you, but somehow she feels like entitled to a championship match? Like what's your take on that one?
I mean, well, first and foremost, I've seen her career, so I know for a fact she's championship material.
Mm-hmm.
She used to be in TNA, and then also she was in the movie Fighting with Your Family, where technically she was the champion.
Mm-hmm.
She played AJ Lee.
Nice.
So she, at one point or another, wink wink, was the longest reigning women's champion. Yeah, it'll be good because she's actually really good. If you haven't seen her stuff, go back and look at her TNA stuff. She's pretty good. I think she was Trinity then.
Yeah, I'll take a look. I mean, I'm not saying she's not. I thought it was an odd.
No,
like
storyline. It's weird that she goes from manager to getting a match.
Yeah, I think that's where the disconnect comes
apparently
in.
all you have to do is call up the champion in WWE.
I mean, that seems like
all
the
you gotta do
case.
is call up the champion in WWE.
Yeah, that seems like it.
Yeah.
I mean, Dolph did it. Dolph got 2 title matches from it.
You want to take a road trip to Florida with me? We can be the tag team champions.
All we gotta do is call out the champions. We got this.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's truth. All right.
Bring it back from the high school days.
Yeah, that was some fun times for sure. The problem was
I know nothing about them dark days.
The problem was is we needed somebody impartial to determine who the winner was going to be. Because like I always was like, should I win the match? Can I win the match?
I was always willing to lose because I knew I was the smallest one.
I was like, there was a time where Roy I think he did a moonsault or a swanton, and I put my knees up and I'm like, all right, what should I do now? It's like,
I just remember jumping on top of the trash can and doing like a RVD frog splash on top of Tony. And then like somebody else just grabbed me up out of nowhere and I get powerbombed and I'm like, I guess I'm dead.
Oh, the old days. Alright. That was good stuff.
Don't try this at home, right?
Yeah, don't try this at home. That's right. No, please try it at home. It's fun. So, obviously we had some more Hurt Business action.
And I'll be yawning during the Hurt Business, pal. Hurt Business is top dogs.
That's right. Hurt Business, we had some new Hurt Business. It's interesting, though, because the Hurt Business is a heel stable, right? And they offered to combat the Retribution, which is also... Go ahead.
Was the promo before that? Because they were still in the ring of the promo whenever the Retribution thing where they got cut off, right? So can I talk about the promo for a second?
You can talk about the promo, but I don't think they were in the ring. The only thing they were in the ring for, I think, was the lights flickering, if I recall correctly.
No, they were in the ring for the promo.
Retribution was?
No, not Retribution. The Hurt Business.
No, that's what I'm talking. Yeah.
And then they had the promo, and then the lights flickered, and then they went to the back, and that was where they had the confrontation with what is his name? The head of security guy now.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Just
Adam Pearce.
Adam Pearce. That's it. Yeah.
He was an independent wrestler. He's got a good his matches out.
Yeah.
Even though we talk about most of the big names, like there's some other programs out there, ROH and New Japan Pro Wrestling. We see you guys. But anyway,
the promo. You were going to talk about
Alexander.
Yeah,
Cedric Alexander. He does a really good job of burying himself with his promos. like just calm down, man, and be more aggressive talking about yourself. But he seems like he's just putting himself down. Like, I got beat up every single week. Boy, I could not get anything. But these guys, they're badass. So I want them to have my back. Are you a manager or are you the freak in the group? Like, I think MVP needs to teach him a little something about a promo, because he's just burying himself to put them over, and that's not what he needs to do.
No. You're right, for sure. Absolutely.
But I do like Cedric Alexander. I think he's more badass in the ring than his promo gave him credit for.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I'm absolutely stand by that. I think the Hurt Business is like right in line with like the perfect combination of people. Like, I think the only person that I would see potentially like addition to their team is either the Bouncer for Raw Underground or Titus O'Neil. Like, that's the only two other people that I could see. Otherwise, I think they're good. Like, if you lined them up, it would make it like a perfect like slope. Like, so you just need
I feel that. You got the promo guy, you got the wrestler, you got the badass, and you got the up and comer.
Mm-hmm.
You have something that fits all those good categories.
Mm-hmm. Yep. The only thing you really need the only other thing would be a giant, and that would be like the Titus O'Neil or the Bouncer for the Raw Underground. I want to see that guy wrestle. I swear to God, he's gonna dunk on people. Just goosh.
That's gonna be the name of the move. Kadoosh.
Yeah. That's what they'll call it too. The kadoosh. All right, so Retribution and Hurt Business. So the Hurt Business offered for money, not to volunteer, but for money to remove the Retribution, and so that started.
That was one of my favorite lines in a long time too.
Which one?
So you guys are thank you for volunteering. They volunteer? We don't do nothing for free.
Nah, nothing's free. Everything costs these days. So, like, we're in a down economy, man. You gotta pay. So that brings back to the Retribution, which is a heel stable, and it's a heel stable because of what they are. They don't have an enemy. Like, that's the problem. That's what makes them a heel stable. If there was an enemy, like to buck the system, so to speak, that would make them a more in line with a face faction. But there's no enemy.
Not so fast, my friend.
All
Is
right.
Retribution a face faction?
I don't think so.
They're bucking the system.
Yeah, but I get that. But what I'm saying is there's no
Your argument a second ago, though, was that if they're bucking the system, they're a face faction.
No, I get that. But what I'm saying is the system in which they're bucking, and obviously it determines on future promos. But the system that they're bucking is a system that's not in place in Raw or in Raw. Like that's not there's no authority figure keeping them down. So if you know, in the terms of needing a villain, so to speak, for them to buck the system, just to say I'm bucking the system makes you doesn't make you a good guy, because there's nobody keeping you down. So it's a situation like that. It's that, yes, they would be a good guy if there was a villain holding them down, but there's no villain doing it. There's no target of the system. They're just causing havoc for the sake of causing havoc because they're not getting their way.
Yeah. Okay.
Like,
And
So
I feel like that's kind of what Retribution's doing as well, where they're just getting mad because we didn't get the NXT Championship, or we didn't get this, we didn't get that, so we're gonna be mad and pissy about it. So we're gonna destroy the ring.
exactly.
SmackDown, which is the better wrestling program.
Yeah. So, but if there was like Vince McMahon saying, you know, I'm specifically keeping these people in NXT because I don't think they're good enough for the main roster. Now Retribution has a reason to come and do all this stuff, but there's nobody saying that. So there's no you if you have no one to point the villainry at, then the team has to be the villain. So in this instance, we now have two villain factions facing off against each other at the end of Raw, which is awesome. The fact that they're facing off against each other is awesome, but it hurts the Hurt Business because they're supposed to be villains. Like,
I don't really know that they're supposed to be villains. I think I've said this previously. This is essentially the exact same gimmick that Bobby Lashley and MVP had when they were in TNA as the Beatdown Club. But now they're the Hurt Business. And it's like the names play with each other very well.
Yeah, they do.
Beatdown Club, Hurt Business. What are we going to do today? We're going to hurt people, and business is good. You know?
That's right.
Like,
that's right.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter if it's good guys or bad guys, they're just here to hurt people.
That's fair.
But I know classically with WWE, when you put a face on somebody, they're not allowed to beat people down, because it's not a face thing to do. But I really think they need to get over themselves with that kind of sorry. I think there was enough space between those types of things. Gimmick infringements. Mustard mouse, eat your heart out.
That's right.
I didn't want to say the real guy's name. I'm very positive that one's copyrighted. Dancing around.
But
yeah, I squirreled myself and I don't remember what I was talking about.
Yeah, I think I think it'll be interesting moving forward to see what the Retribution versus the Hurt Business looks like. So far, I like it.
Oh yeah.
We'll see.
Do you think it's going to lead to a Survivor Series match?
If it does, the Hurt Business needs to add another person, Titus O'Neil. What? Anyway.
I mean, they've already tried to start. They've started to bring him back, so it's a possibility. And then they did beat him down, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. So I got two more notes for Raw. And that's the cage match between Seth and Dominic. I thought that was great. I did. I definitely enjoyed it. I thought it told a lot of stories, and I thought it was really well done. I mean, obviously, I'm never gonna be shy about my love for Seth Rollins, but I thought that was really well done, and it progressed a lot of storylines and told a lot of great stories.
Yeah, and I also cannot hide my love of Seth Rollins as far back as when he was, Tyler Black, but specifically as Seth Rollins, he made my daughter love wrestling. Her favorite wrestler is Seth Rollins. So yeah, that holds a special place in my heart that I can watch wrestling with my daughter. Thank you. But with that said, once again, they're putting Dominic with the guy that could carry anybody. Which I really don't want to see Dominic with somebody that can't work right now, because I'm liking it. So yeah. Keep putting him over and keep teaching the kid.
Yeah.
Don't give him a championship
I agree. I agree for sure.
Maybe tag titles in like a year
Yeah. um, yeah, so that brings us last to Raw Underground. And Raw Underground this week was the Braun Strowman show. And I think that's a great use of Braun Strowman for sure. But the biggest noteworthy thing I could take out of it is that I am super excited for next week, where we get Baba Kato versus Braun Strowman. How awesome is that going to be?
Yeah.
Like, I'm excited about that. Like, for sure. I like the use of Dolph Ziggler in Raw Underground. Obviously, he got demolished by Braun Strowman, but before that, I like that he's really racking up the the unofficial wins in Raw Underground. So if they do decide to bring Dolph back out as he won't look like he'll actually have some clout again. Where for the last three, last 6 years he hasn't been. Since whenever Sting was in WWE, was that 2014? No, it was 2016 maybe. So Dolph Ziggler's been basically irrelevant for 4 years, 5 years. Yeah, because it was when Seth Rollins, when he pinned Seth Rollins at SummerSlam, when he was by himself. He was 1v3 and won the SummerSlam match. I mean the Survivor Series match. That was the last time Dolph Ziggler was relevant. Even though he's had championship.
Yeah, he's had championship matches.
Yeah, but I mean, what? Nobody.
He's
what
like.
What I mean is that nobody's.
Like a good. I know what you mean. Yeah. I'm trying to put it into words exactly how to phrase it well. He's like if Chris Jericho is here,
mm-hmm.
Dolph Ziggler almost, but not quite.
Dolph Ziggler is always
you know
almost.
What I mean?
Like I
almost, but not quite.
Yeah. Like, and he has it. Like, he could be it. It's just for whatever reason, like this Dolph Ziggler gimmick, like this particular gimmick that Dolph Ziggler has, they won't let him be something else. And that's what I like about the Raw Underground, is that he's not in Raw Underground, he's not the Dolph Ziggler character you see on Raw or SmackDown. He's this, gritty Kent University wrestler who's he puts people down with a sleeper hold. Like, he doesn't win with a sleeper hold in a wrestling match because there's no ring, there's no ropes.
So he used to.
Yeah, but
he used to.
Yeah, but now
2008, 2009.
Yeah. But now
11, 12 years ago.
Yeah. But since there's no ring ropes, in Raw Underground, it works perfect. He puts him in the sleeper, wins the match. Like, it's this, it's this real revitalization. Because, even you can see that WWE's starting to have a little more confidence in him. Because, this past week, he faced Riddick Moss. And Riddick Moss is on a push in Raw Underground. And they didn't let Riddick Moss beat him. They kind of, it went to a no contest or whatever, but I think they're definitely showing some of these other wrestlers that would otherwise.
Do you think there's going to be a championship? Underground champion?
I mean, I'd like to. I would be okay with seeing that. The thing about
and it's only dependent on Raw. Like, there isn't a Raw Underground on a pay-per-view. It's Raw Underground, period.
the thing I'd like to see is I'd like to see Raw Underground be all of the last hour.
Yeah.
And not just be part of the last hour. I wish Raw Underground would be all of the last hour. And I know why they can't do that because of the way they have it set up right now. But I think Raw Underground as the whole last hour would be phenomenal. On the Eastern, kids aren't staying up until 11 o'clock on the Eastern time zone to watch Raw. That's always been the adult hour, so to speak. Like if you watch anything else on TV, if you watch it after 10, there's more mature content on cable television anyway. So it makes perfect sense for you to have just the last hour just be Raw Underground. And if it's even if it's backstage promos, you can still have backstage promos. It's just your matches would all be in that Raw Underground setting. Like, and you just don't have any matches in a regular wrestling ring. But I know they won't do that, but I think that would be a much better.
I completely agree with that because I feel like they would be able to write the show as if it's a 2-hour show,
mm-hmm.
and then you could almost have a completely different writing team that did Raw Underground.
Yeah, because I mean, you look at they even do they essentially they always do the closing mark at the end of each hour anyway. So wouldn't be any different. You would just say, okay, this would be the, you just say that, okay, so this is the end of Raw. Here comes Raw Underground. It just essentially would be two separate shows. It's just they just would run concurrently. You'd have Raw for 2 hours. Raw Underground would be its own separate thing, and then you have SmackDown and you have NXT. There's no disadvantage to this, not at all. So listen, WWE, do it. Like, it's one of the best things you have going right now. Just do it. That way, you'll be able to eliminate your filler, and you'll be able to have meaningful matches. And the non-meaningful matches, you could put your filler in Raw Underground, and the matches would still be entertaining. They don't have to mean anything because it's its own show. They don't have to mean anything because it'd be its own show, and then the matches would still be entertaining because they're all different and they're all like brutal and more gritty. It's that grittiness that WWE is lacking. That is what makes AEW so much better, because AEW it's more your Attitude Era wrestling. It's more grittiness. It's more brutal. It's more bloody. It's more adult. It favors that demographic, just like it shows. And that's your counter to it. That's your Raw Underground is your answer. You just need to write it like it's a separate show, and not the same show. At least that's my 2 cents on that.
No, I feel you.
All right. Do I have anything else? Yeah, I feel like that's it for Raw. All right. Well, let's. Do you have anything else to talk? Anything else you want to mention on this week this 2 weeks in WWE programming?
I've got my my star of the week, and then I got the question of the week.
Okay.
But not really. I mean, I feel like we touched on everything because, like, all of the highlights of the past couple of weeks, is Alexa Bliss and the Intercontinental Championship Triple Way feud, Retribution, Hurt Business, Sasha Banks, Bailey. Like, we touched on all the Braun Strowman, Raw Underground. I feel like we talked about everything that needed to be talked about.
Yeah, I agree. All right, well, let's do our star of the week then. Who are you giving your kudos star? Your star kudos of the week?
Kudos. Let's go kudos.
Yeah, who are you giving that to this week?
I'm gonna give it to the Hurt Business because I feel like they've done the most with the least over the past couple of weeks.
Strong. I'm gonna see. Mine's tough. I'll say I wanted to give it to Cedric Alexander, but since you're giving it to the full Hurt Business, I'll give it to somebody else. So then it came down to me is that I'm going to favor SmackDown, and I really wanted to give it to either Bayley or Banks, but I think this week I'm going to give my kudos to Jey Uso because I think it's a situation that it came out of nowhere. I didn't expect to see him in the title picture, and now that he's in there, he makes me want him to be there, and I think that's enough in my book to earn the star of the week, to earn the kudos of the week from Adonis Gamerspace. Yeah. So let's just move right into the question of the week. So last week's question was, who are your top 5 superstars in Retribution?
Top 5.
And why do you think they are the ones in Retribution? Why do you think they should be in Retribution? So
I need to hear yours first.
Well, mine's simple. Mine's real easy, and I'm gonna say it for the sake of not who I think is it. And my 5th one is going to be the person I think is in it. My other 4 people are not going to be are not in it, but these are the people I wanted to be in it. And that just that's something. It's easy because it was something I had mentioned earlier before. Undisputed Era and Dominic Dojovic. Like, that's my 5 people, because I know Dominic is in it. I know he's in it. But the people I wanted to be in it were Undisputed Era, because I want Undisputed Era on the main roster, and I was literally, when they announced the new faction that was coming, I was like, it's them. And I've never stopped wanting it to be them. So that's my.
It was so subtle. The first week Retribution did anything, nobody even realized that was what it was.
Exactly.
They were like, the film was cutting in and out, and somebody got poisoned. Was that the new faction? I think me and Manosk watched the entire episode. I think you watched the whole episode too, and we're all like, we watched the whole episode waiting for the new faction. Yeah. Was it Was it MVP and Lashley at that point? Which did turn out to be a faction.
Yeah, it did. So I just thought the new faction was Raw Underground. Like for almost all of it, I was like, is Raw Underground the new faction? Like, I mean, Fight Club. Yeah, Fight Club.
You can't talk about Fight Club though.
I'll have to cut that out. That was a joke.
Oops.
What?
Great.
No, about Fight Club. Now I gotta cut that out. Damn it.
Yeah. Alright, so I got a stupid amount of stuff written.
Sure.
And a lot of stuff written, scratched out, erased. Because at one point I had Daniel Bryan, Joe Hennig, Bo Dallas, Mercedes Martinez, and Shotzi Blackheart as my group. And then I went, you know what? No, screw all of that. That's not gonna work. And then I changed it to essentially what I believe to be the actual group.
Okay.
Because it has to be all NXT people. It has to be.
Okay.
Based on the promos that they've been cutting.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then also I kind of added in a sixth member, just based on what I saw on Raw the other day, because the guy looked incredibly like The Miz.
Okay, that's fair.
But the Miz, giant question mark, is my sixth member.
Mm-hmm.
Dominic Djokovic,
mm-hmm.
Dio Madden, Shane Thorne, Mia Yim, Mercedes Martinez. Now, at one point, I had Shotzi Blackheart and Bronson Reed as possible members, but I really believe that these are the guys that are going to be the group.
I can definitely see Mia Yim for sure, since her boyfriend is on Raw now. So that makes sense. But yeah, I mean, all that makes sense. I can assure you that Dominic Djokovic is in it. Like, he's definitely there. He's definitely there. So
he's the Wade Barrett of this
group. Speaking of Wade Barrett, he's got a WWE contract again, just as an announcer. He'll be an announcer for NXT for a year at least. All right. That sounds good. That's our question of the day, question of the week knocked out. Do you want to give a...
I think that's more time.
What? What'd you say?
What's the last thing that you heard me say?
I guess that's last something.
Oh, NWA.
Okay.
That's very telling of NWA. That and what they're doing with AEW.
Gotcha. Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. So I was going to ask, did you have a question of the week? Or did you want me to come up with one? Because I think the top 5 superstars in Retribution and why was Stefan. I mean, Manosk. I'm not cutting it out. We'll just have to deal.
Yeah, I do have one, and I think we were touching on that earlier. What is your perfect way to have Otis cash in and actually get over and win the championship?
Oof.
I know this is going to be really.
That's a loaded question, man. Jeez. All right.
Okay, let's forget about the get over then. Okay, just the perfect way for him to cash in. Okay. Perfect way for Otis to cash in. And don't tell me it's going to be over Brock Lesnar, because that's over my dead freaking body. Okay.
Over your dead freaking body.
And over his dead WWE career at this point.
He's not even under contract, so why would I bring in Brock Lesnar? All right, perfect cash in for Otis. I'll take it. All right, that sounds good, y'all. So, question of the week: what is the perfect cash in for Otis? Does he do it at WrestleMania against Roman Reigns or The Rock? I mean, what, it doesn't even, realistically, you keep realistics in here, but realistically, we could have The Rock versus Roman Reigns for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania. Like, it's a literal possibility. I mean, it's realistic. It is.
The Rock legitimately retired from wrestling.
Nah, but he might come back for Roman Reigns.
I don't think so. I think he's legitimately retired.
I mean, I agree. I agree with that. But so is Ric Flair. There are other wrestlers that have been retired that have come back for
like
one more
Hulk Hogan
match.
situation where he's gonna come in and out of retirement because his movie career sucks. Like The Rock is legit.
He is the most.
You probably didn't hear half of what I said, huh?
You said he's not like Hulk Hogan. He isn't coming back because of a failed acting career.
Oh, well then, cool.
But no, but I mean, he's the highest paid actor in Hollywood right now. So, but that doesn't mean he won't come. Remember, The Rock is not one of those people who forgets his roots. So, I think that he would come back. Your mouth is moving, but I don't hear anything.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Fantastic. I said the last couple of times that he's come back for matches, he's gotten hurt, and he's gotten hurt worse every time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that he would want to come back.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. But it doesn't mean it's not a realistic possibility. It's unlikely, but it's still a real possibility. Like, obviously, don't say that Roman Reigns versus Shawn Michaels, for instance. Like, that's extremely unrealistic. Like, Shawn Michaels is not going to come back to face Roman Reigns for the championship. But
You were frozen, not saying anything, and then I cut into Shawn Michaels is not coming back to. I was like, where did that come from?
Let's go.
Where did that come from, Shawn Michaels?
Let's just wrap this up. All right.
So, the cool thing is, when you were frozen, I was like, and that's gonna do it for us tonight, folks.
This is hilarious. I love it. I gotta wait. Are you back yet? Oh, jeez. Alright, there he is. Alright, I am gonna go ahead and wrap it up. Alright. Alright, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit a like on it. It helps us out a lot with the Google algorithm. If you would also subscribe so you can see when our videos go live. If you want to see a Donnie's Gamer Space live on stream, you can follow me at a Donnie's Gamer Space on Facebook, where I stream. We also have at the Greatest Wrestling Podcast Ever on Facebook as well, where you can join our Facebook groups. And
at Greatest RWRE1.
The Twitter, or is that our Facebook also?
No, that's the Twitter.
Okay, yeah. And so the Twitter at the Greatest Wrestling, at the Greatest WRE1. Yeah, and we'll be back. Hopefully, we'll get an AEW video in. If for some reason we don't, it'll be next week. We'll get all of that wrapped up for you. And just remember, you can get your wrestling fix here at the Greatest Wrestling Podcast Ever. Thank you all so much for watching, and this is Adani signing out.
Embo Nation, Top Dog, doing Top Dog things.
Get out of my shirt. Get out of my video.
Hey, Top Dog, because I showed up. I'm like Otis, man. You give me the money in the bank because I showed up for work. Oh, yeah.
That's enough.